about the angel Gabriel coming to a young girl named Mary and telling her something amazing. The angel tells her that she's going to have a baby and that the baby will be called the Son of God. And then, just to help Mary believe that amazing news, the angel says, and your cousin Elizabeth, who's way too old to have a baby, well, she's going to have one too. And that's so you will know that nothing is impossible with God. And Mary says to the angel, I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me as you have said. I'd like to tell you a story. It's an American folk tale, and my telling's based on one by Angela L. Will Hunt, and it's called The Tale of Three Trees. Once upon a mountainside, three little trees stood and dreamed of what they would be when they grew up. The first little tree looked up into the night sky where the stars sparkled like diamonds. I want to be a treasure chest, he said. I'll be covered in gold and filled with jewels. I will be the most beautiful tree in the world. The second tree looked down into the valley where a little stream wound its way toward the ocean. I want to be a mighty sailing ship when I grow up. I will be so strong that I'll sail upon the oceans, and so powerful that I will carry kings. I will be the strongest tree in the world. The third tree looked down into the valley at the little town where busy people went about their busy lives. And the third tree said, I don't ever want to leave this mountain. I want to stay right here and grow so straight and tall that when anyone looks at me, he will lift his eyes to heaven and see God. I will be the tallest tree in the world. The seasons came and went, and the three trees did grow tall and strong and beautiful. But then, one day, three woodcutters made their way up the mountainside. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree. This tree is beautiful, he said. It is exactly what I need. And with a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. At last, thought the first tree, now I'll be made into a treasure chest, covered with gold and filled with jewels. The second woodcutter looked at the second tree. This tree is strong, he said. It is exactly what I need. And with a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Now, thought the second tree, I'll be made into a mighty ship, fit to carry kings. The third tree felt her heart sink as the third woodcutter came her way. She tried to stand as tall and straight as she could and point to God. But the third woodcutter didn't even look up. Any old tree will do for me, he said. And with a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree was so excited when he was taken to a carpenter shop. But the tired carpenter was not making treasure chests. Instead of being covered in gold and filled with jewels, he was made into a simple feed box. covered with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry animals to eat from. The second tree was thrilled when he was taken to a shipyard, but no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, he was made into a tiny fishing boat, too small and weak to travel on an ocean or even on a river. He was taken to a lake where day after day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when she was taken to a lumber yard and cut into beams and stacked there and forgotten. All I ever wanted, she thought, was to stay on the mountain and point toward God. Again, the seasons came and went, and the three trees almost forgot their dreams. But then one night, golden starlight covered the first tree as a young mother wrapped her firstborn son and laid him in the feed box. "I wish I could have made a cradle for him," her husband said. "Oh no," said the young mother, "this manger is beautiful." And suddenly the first tree knew that he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. Years later, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the little fishing boat and set off across the lake. The traveler fell asleep, but then a mighty storm arose, and the wind blew and the waves tossed, and the second tree knew that he was not strong enough to carry so many people in such a storm. And then the traveler awoke, and standing up, he lifted his arms and said, "Peace, be still." And the wind stopped, and the waves were calm. And the second tree knew that he was carrying the King of heaven and of earth. It was a Friday afternoon that the third tree's beams were jerked from the abandoned lumber yard. She was carried through an angry, jeering mob, and then a man's hands and feet were nailed to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But then, on Sunday morning, when the sun began to rise and the ground shook beneath her, she knew that somehow God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And now, when anyone looked at her, they would see God. Never doubt that God knows your hopes and dreams. That God knows you better than you know yourself, and God has a plan for you. An amazing plan. For nothing is impossible with God. And we should never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. For God is love. Amen.